And get myself some tobacco. I guess somebody broke in and broke their door and stole some stuff, which definitely is not cool to do. Besides that, they're always nice to me. So go ahead and check it out. Oh. Well, I guess I'm not going in to talk to him. They close at 6. Up and broke the window with a carton of cigarettes, which at the time when I was looking at the door, since last time I looked up here, it's pretty obvious that it was broken into while the place was still open, which means the guy was still there. That means it wasn't broken into. It means somebody was throwing a tantrum. What are the chances that there were drugs or alcohol involved? I'd say the chances are pretty good. Yeah, that crap is so bad for me. Anyway, without a place where I can set up my stuff, and then I have to keep on moving it because it hurts me bad to have to do that, like really bad. It also makes it a lot more unsafe for me to drive when I have to carry that stuff. I wouldn't pay people to do that if I didn't have to. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, the guy, it's the Smoke for Less here in Tillamook. And the two fellers who are in there are always super nice. One of them's from Korea and one of them's from here. I explained to both of them about the winking thing and that it's because I have Tourette's syndrome. I'm not hitting on them or flirting with them or anything like that. And that I'm autistic, so I'm weird and a bit different, but I'm not out to do anybody any harm. I am glad the cops came to actually look at that because, you know, like I said, you got to keep your community safe. First of all, you cannot depend on the cops. Second of all, if you're going to tell people they should have gone to the cops, but you're not willing to talk to the cops, why are you telling somebody else to talk to the cops? If you're a witness to the situation, who was telling the victim to go to the cops, but then you don't want to go to the cops, and you don't want to admit that the victim came to you for help, or that you told them to go to the cops, well, that makes it very complicated. Meanwhile, those folks, the guy from here who works there, you know, he's expressed some concern about the police and the way that they treat me. He's also said outright that it's not right the way they treat us out here, let alone people who are sober. He recognizes that I don't start any problems with anybody, and I do look out for the place. But I don't go making cruises around the building. I've been to one part behind the building with Chris. But the rest of the time you get to see on my video, well, usually I have it up, so I guess you can't really see where I'm at exactly, but I don't actually go around the building. I go down the side of the building, down to, well, I'll show you right there. Every part of where I walk is shown right there until you get to the fence. And then when you get to the fence, you take a left or a right. But if you take a right, you got to walk a little bit further to get some privacy. Obviously, with me using a cane, that's not really feasible, especially after making a cross-country trek. Now, that seems lame. I get it. A lot of people look at that and they go, oh, Sean, you're not that old. And they look at what I have to walk across and they're like, man, anybody could walk across that. And no, it's not that simple. Not anymore. If I could have gotten someone to listen to me, Natalie Bollinger would still be alive today. A lot of people would, because I would be there to pass out those blankets and to wake people up before they got a ticket if I knew where they stayed. For a while there, I had a pretty steady regimen of people who I walked around to their squat right before it was time for the cops to roll through and wake them up. Then the cops wisened up and they came through half an hour earlier. People don't want to see homeless folks sleeping under the bushes. They think that there's this magic place that they're going to send them to that's going to help them. Yeah, it's called jail. And they're going to serve their time, then they're going to get right back onto the same fucking streets. For many of the people out here, they're drug users for no other reason than it's the safest way to be at night. Be awake, be alert, be conscious. You're less likely to be beaten, you're less likely to be raped. That's pretty important. You're the easiest to victimize when you're asleep in your sleeping bag. I used a blanket until it was wintertime and I had to use a sleeping bag, and even then, I only kept it zipped up until I got fucking kicked into consciousness one morning. And I was like, well, screw that. Never zipping up that thing again. You know why it's scarier getting eaten by a bear than a pack of wolves? It's very rare for a pack of wolves to attack a person with the intent of eating them. Usually it's a territorial dispute. A bear, kind of the same thing. They're not very likely to eat you, but it is a possibility. The thing about a wolf is that wolves will make sure that you're dead before they start to eat you. A cat will make sure that you're dead before it starts to eat you. A bear will eat you while you're still breathing, still alive. Of course, a bear is a scavenger. Canines and cats are not scavengers. When I'm up in the woods, I'm not afraid of getting eaten by wolves. And I'm not afraid of getting eaten by bears in comparison with what I have to deal with human beings. Human beings love to inflict suffering on others, especially others that can't defend themselves. When we feel especially vulnerable, we like to go out and find someone more vulnerable than us to make us feel better. It makes us feel better that somebody else is there who has it worse than us, or it makes us feel better to know that we have someone we can talk down to. When people abuse us, we abuse someone lower on the totem pole. And I obstruct that social order by abusing up. If the president burns the vice president with a cattle prod, or with a branding iron, then the president goes, oh, well, you can't do anything. I'm the president. You can't burn me back. Now the vice president has permanent damage. This is visible damage, so it's something that you can visualize. Let's say the vice president, let's say Joe Biden branded the vice president with a branding iron right on his butt cheek. Big old nasty burn. Vice president decides, well, you know what? I can't take it out on the president. I'll take it out on the Secretary of State. Secretary of State says, I can't do nothing to the vice president. I understand that the president did it to him. And it's not okay to do it to me, though. That's the thing. It's not okay to burn me just because he got burned. But then what's that person going to do? He's going to burn the Secretary of the Treasury. Secretary of the Treasury is going to burn the Speaker of the House. All the way on down the line until everybody's been burned. All the way down to those at the very bottom. The homeless, the disabled, the mentally ill, men, and women. It just happens to be the ones at the bottom. The women at the bottom blame all men. The men at the bottom blame all women. The blacks at the bottom blame all whites. The whites at the bottom blame everyone else. Are you sure it's not that the concept of we the people has not become the me? We should ignore everything around us unless it happens to me. Oh, somebody broke into your store? Well, they didn't break into my car, so I don't care. Somebody stole from you? Well, they didn't steal from me, so I don't care. Well, here's the thing. That thief is out there. The thief has now gotten away with it. The thief thinks that it's something that they can get away with it, and they get more brazen and they do it more often. Let's hope that because this person broke into a business here, that they go after the culprit and actually catch him. Now, for some of you, you might be telling me, oh, well, you should be glad that he broke into a store instead of breaking into your car. No, I shouldn't. You mean I should be glad that my stuff didn't get stolen? Well, I can agree with that. But it does get stolen often, and nobody cares. When people steal your stuff, I do care. I do care that David and Betsy Prowl ended up homeless. Lost their business of 20 years. Good location, too. They lost their business and ended up homeless because somebody stole from them. And that's how easily it happened. The people at the Smoke for Less shop, they do express concern for me and my well-being from time to time. Especially when they see something freaky like cops messing with me. And the guy knew that I was being messed with, that it wasn't a friendly exchange. There's a lot of businesses around here that have been getting broken into, and the more desperate people get, the more crimes they commit. I don't want people making my community unsafe, so I do what it is that is necessary for keeping your community safe. I keep my eyes peeled. Now, when this happened, well, I hadn't been here overnight. I was up in the friggin' mountains. But it happened when they were open, and the guy was still in there. The police officer came over to get the camera from Chris without a written statement. Imagine that. They came over and asked for the body cameras, or asked for the video cameras immediately. That's pretty important. Chris didn't want to comply with them. I think that's one of those situations where you should. The quicker that you're able to identify the person who did it, the better off it's going to be for all of us, because the more likely it is that person is going to be caught, the less likely they're going to have a big head, and the less likely they're going to do it again to someone else. When Matty Bowe was going around town spreading rumors about Chaos the Misfit, aka Brian Townsend, you know, if I'd have known that Matty Bowe was the one running around doing that, I'd have thought twice about being her friend. Anyway, I got a soda pop. I'm not able to do any good right now because there's nobody there to talk to. But also, I didn't get a hold of him for someone to talk to. I wanted to see See what I can find out about the people who broke in. I might know them. If I can get a description, I might be able to help them out. We might even be able to look at a recording or two of mine and see if any of the people who are predatory towards me are the ones who broke in. Or maybe the police actually did their jobs. Maybe they did it quickly. Being sent to a place where I'm not able to record the full situation, or having people treat me like I'm a bad person for recording, that's horrible. But it's because of situations where you blanket all of us this way. Like this crime right here might have been committed by a homeless person, might have been committed by a traveler, might have been committed by a local, might have been committed by somebody who's from Portland or from Canada or from Mexico. You never know. Going with an assumption is always a bad idea, but most people's go-to assumption is homeless. And sometimes that's the case, like the people over at the, God, what's that place called? The Tillamook Sporting Goods. They did have a homeless person sleeping in there. They locked him in. I've been ripped off a lot in my lifetime. I had some people do some pretty friggin' horrible things to me. I don't use that as an excuse to look the other way when it's happening to others, which is what most of the people who called me friend did. They wanted to look the other way when it happened to me. Out and I'm gonna get myself, actually no, I don't need another soda pop. I realize they're only $1 here, but that's $1 I'm probably gonna need for food. I can buy 5 soda pops, or I can get some food somewhere and hopefully some free water. There's a guy driving around the parking lot with a Mexico flag. We got a bunch of people that are flying around the American flags. So this guy's flying it says Mexico, and it's got the Mexican flag colors. This is what a lot of the racists in this town been doing with the American flag, except that it's not the ones who are true Americans, it's the racist ones, and they fly it in a very racist way. By that I mean the American flag in your white truck while screaming things out the window like white power. Or screaming the N-word out the window with that big white flag. So that guy's been cruising around in the parking lot. This is like the 4th time today that he's done that. I don't feel in the least that it's anything against the 4th of July. I think it's something against the way that the American flag is being used and directed today. No, it's not Cinco de Mayo. Alright, I'm going to end this video. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff I'm not able to do. I have to pay people to help me to do it, and I'm not rich.